Houston, 1965. The countdown clock hits 0. The rocket shakes like it's trying to shrug off gravity itself. Flames. Noise. The most expensive bottle rocket in human history tears a hole in the sky. Inside the capsule, 3 astronauts. Sweat floating in 0 G. Panels blinking. History being made. And somewhere in that spacecraft, not a slide rule, not a classified navigation system, not even coffee. A bright orange powder designed for bored suburban kids. This is the story of how one of NASA's most embarrassing operational mistakes accidentally created one of the most successful brand endorsements of the 20th century. And why your business should stop obsessing over perfect execution and start paying attention to what customers notice. Because we did not fall in love with Tang because it was good. We fell in love with Tang because it went to space. Welcome back to Oddly Strategic. It's been a minute since I've last dropped a podcast. Sorry about that. Things have gotten busy, life has got in the way. This is the podcast that extracts strategic business lessons from the strangest of places. I'm your host, Mark Peters. Today, we are talking about how NASA's early space program, an organization built on math, risk mitigation, and existential seriousness, they accidentally turned a sugary orange drink into a cultural icon. We'll unpack how Tang became a brand legend without being the best product, why association beats superiority, and how proximity to credibility can outperform decades of traditional marketing. And somewhere in suburbia, a middle-aged dad is explaining to his kid why astronauts drank orange juice powder while standing in front of an open fridge full of better options. So let's rewind. The early 1960s space race was chaos in a lab coat. NASA was inventing everything from scratch. Spacesuits, life support systems, freeze-dried food, how to drink liquids without turning the cockpit into a floating puddle. Food was a genuine problem. Crumbs could clog instruments. Liquids didn't pour. Weight mattered. Shelf life mattered. Simplicity mattered. Enter powdered beverages. NASA wasn't looking for a brand. They were looking for something that wouldn't spoil, spill, or revolt astronauts mid-orbit. Tang already existed. Invented in the late 1950s, a powdered orange drink that tasted like optimism and citric acid. And here's the key point most people miss. Tang was not chosen because it was beloved. It was chosen because it worked. It dissolved easily. It stored well. It delivered vitamin C, or so they said. And it didn't turn into free-floating chaos when squeezed through a plastic tube. NASA used it internally, quietly, practically, without any intention of selling breakfast beverages to the world. Then came Gemini, then Apollo, then live television. Suddenly, the most trusted institution in the country was floating above Earth. And on camera, astronauts were drinking Tang. NASA didn't endorse it. They didn't license it. They didn't smile and say, this is delicious. They just used it. And that was enough. General Foods, the company behind Tang, realized something immediately. They didn't need to improve the product. They needed to tell the story. Tang pivoted its entire brand identity overnight. Not refreshing, not taste great, not even good for kids. Tang became the drink of astronauts. Sales exploded. Kids begged for it. Parents bought it. Cereal boxes cross-promoted it. Commercials showed rockets instead of oranges. And here's the uncomfortable truth. Tang wasn't better than orange juice. It wasn't even close. But it was associated with the most aspirational achievement of the modern age. Later, NASA later distanced itself. By the Apollo era, astronauts quietly complained about taste. They moved on to other beverages. Tang disappeared from space. Didn't matter. The brand equity had already escaped Earth's gravity. For decades after, Tang was still the astronaut drink, even when astronauts weren't drinking it. That's not product superiority. For decades after, Tang was still the astronaut drink, even when astronauts weren't drinking it. That's not product superiority, that's borrowed credibility. So, now for the lessons. Lesson number 1. Credibility beats quality. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Tang did not win because it was the best drink. It won because it stood next to something people trusted. NASA had near religious credibility, competence, precision, life and death seriousness. Tang didn't claim those qualities, it absorbed them. This is classic authority bias. When a trusted expert uses something, we assume it must be good enough. Apple understood this early. They didn't lead with specs. They put devices in the hands of designers, musicians, filmmakers. Disney does this with Imagineers. Lego does this with master builders. Take Gwyneth Paltrow's product line Goop as an example. Goop isn't successful because every product is objectively great. In fact, the quality of many Goop products is, at best, debatable. It's successful because Gwyneth Paltrow's credibility does the heavy lifting. People don't ask, does this work? They ask, why does she believe in this? That's Tang in orbit. Once something is adjacent to extreme credibility, the quality debate becomes optional. Or, you know that guy at the office who somehow does nothing? Not in a lazy way, but rather in a mysterious way. He's never in the weeds. He's never on fire. He's never fixing the thing that's actually broken. He shows up late to meetings. He asks one obvious question. He nods slowly like he's processing something profound. And then somehow, when the project succeeds, everyone says, yeah, this wouldn't have happened without him. That guy doesn't win on output. He wins on proximity. He's always adjacent to the important work, adjacent to the decision maker, adjacent to the moment where credit gets assigned. That's not incompetence. That's credibility by association. Then bring it home to Tang. That's Tang. It didn't do the hardest work on the mission. It didn't innovate the spacecraft. It didn't even taste particularly good. And I remember that Tang taste. It was not all that good. It was kind of gross, actually, but we still drank it. It was standing next to NASA when history happened. And the lesson in organizations, in markets, in brands, credit doesn't always follow contribution. It follows visibility inside trusted systems. Customers don't evaluate quality in isolation. They infer it socially. If it's good enough for them, it's good enough for me. If you're selling something complex, unfamiliar, or boring, you don't need louder marketing. You need closer proximity to trust. Lesson number 2. Context creates meaning. Tang in your kitchen? That's just sad orange sugar water. Tang in space? Well, that's fuel for heroes. Same product, different context, radically different perception. This is framing. Humans don't judge value objectively. We judge it relative to our surroundings. Wine tastes better with a story. Coffee tastes better with a ritual. Products feel premium when placed in serious environments. Costco's $1.50 hot dog works because it lives inside a warehouse of abundance. Southwest jokes work because they happen inside a safe system. The Zamboni works because it appears when chaos needs calming. So now let me give you a small, very real example. Think about the conference room water. Same company, same building, same tap. In the break room, it comes out of a plastic cooler that's been gurgling since 2009 and has probably never been cleaned. Nobody touches it. In the boardroom, it's poured into a glass carafe, sits on a coaster. Someone calls it still or sparkling. Same exact water, different room, different story. And suddenly people treat it like a premium experience. That's context doing the work. Nothing changed chemically. Everything changed psychologically. And that's what Tang got for free when it floated into space. Tang didn't change its formula. It changed its stage. Ask yourself, where does your product live in your customer's mind? Is it in the clearance aisle or is it on the launch pad? Lesson number 3. Accidental moments can be strategic assets. NASA didn't plan a branding coup. General Foods didn't plan a cultural shortcut. This was an operational artifact that turned into marketing gold because someone noticed it. Most companies miss these moments. Support teams solving problems heroically. Engineers doing impossible things quietly. Customers using products in unintended but powerful ways. Now, I love this example. Post-it notes exist because something failed. 3M was trying to invent a super strong adhesive. Instead, one of their scientists accidentally created a glue that barely stuck at all. By normal R&D logic, that's a dead end. Too weak. Too useless. Move on. Except someone noticed something strange. That failed glue was perfect for bookmarks. It held just enough and let go without tearing the page. For years, it lived as an internal hack. Employees using scraps of yellow paper to mark documents. No branding. No launch pad. Then 3M paid attention. They realized the value wasn't the adhesive. It was the behavior it enabled. Then land the lesson. Post-it notes weren't designed as a product. They were discovered as a habit. That's lesson number 3. Sometimes your biggest brand isn't the thing you engineered. It's the thing users quietly adopt before you ever name it. That's Tang. NASA didn't set out to sell orange drink credibility, but once Tang showed up in orbit, someone noticed, and history did the rest. These are not footnotes. They're story seeds. Tang became iconic not because it was pushed, but because someone recognized the narrative gravity of where it appeared. Psychologically, this is the availability heuristic. The most vivid association wins. Nobody remembers the nutritional panel, and everyone remembers the astronauts. So now let's make this practical. Exercise 1, the credibility audit. Answer 3 questions. Number 1, who do your customers already trust more than you? Probably a lot of people. Number 2, where does your product quietly intersect with their world? And number 3, what proof of seriousness are you ignoring because it feels mundane? Your NASA might be a respected client, a boring compliance requirement, a high-stakes environment you already operate in. Stop hiding it. Exercise 2, the context shift. Take your product and imagine it in 3 environments: a trade show booth, a boardroom, a mission-critical moment. Which one makes it feel more important? If your product never shows up at a moment of consequence, you're training your customers to see it as optional. And exercise 3, the story capture. Ask your team one simple question. What did we do last month that felt hard, serious, or meaningful? If the answer never reaches marketing, you're leaving Tang on the table. And let me tell you, that's a powdered mess. Let's do a playable scenario here. You run a B2B SaaS platform. Your tool quietly keeps hospitals compliant. Nobody writes testimonials because nothing went wrong. That's your Tang moment. Stop marketing features. Start marketing the absence of disaster. Another scenario. You sell industrial equipment. Your machines run in extreme environments. Mining, Arctic, offshore. Your customers don't praise you. They survive you. And that's the story. Tang did not earn its place in history by being delicious. It earned it by being present. Present at a moment when trust was everything. Present without fanfare. Present when failure was not an option. In business, perfection is overrated. Proximity to credibility is very underrated. Your customers are not asking, is this the best possible product? They're asking, who else believes in this? Sometimes the smartest move isn't improving the recipe, it's standing closer to the launch pad. Next time on Oddly Strategic, we're leaving orbit and heading down to street level. To a country that didn't spend billions on ads, they didn't lecture the world about its values, they didn't even ask for attention. It opened restaurants. We're unpacking how Thailand quietly used pad thai, green curry, and a national playbook to reshape global perception, and what it teaches businesses about influence, distribution, and why lunch may be the most underrated growth strategy on earth. Until then, keep your thinking weird and your strategy grounded. And don't forget to give us a 5-star review. Give us the rating, the comments. My details are in the show notes. Talk to you again real soon, everyone. Take care. Bye.